Yes. Hello.
Hello,
Right. So,
Jacqueline.
hello, everybody. I am Jacqueline from Jacqueline Fontaine Coaching, and I'm here today with my friend Marina, who I'll introduce in a minute. Just wanted to say a little bit about what I do. I run my own life coaching business called Jacqueline Fontaine Coaching. And I consider myself at the moment, a bit of a GP in all things life related. So happy to coach on just about anything. And that's usually because people tend to come to me with thinking they've got one issue, but it's actually, once we've had a few sessions, it turns out it's about a deeper seated issue. And as coaches, the skills that we have just cut across pretty much everything. Is just where a coach decides they want to focus their attention and their business. You can find me at www.jfncoaching.co.uk. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook at Jacqueline Fontaine Coaching. One's uppercase, one's lowercase, and I can't remember which is which. But if you go via my website, there's links to my social media on there. I am having to think about TikTok because it's been mentioned to me quite a few times, but I'm not quite there yet with TikTok. So we will see. So Marina and I met on a coaching course because we do have to continue to develop ourselves and our skills with coachings to remain relevant, to remain up to date with different sort of coaching modalities and things like that. And so we've got to know each other through doing some deep work on some deep programs. Also means that we continue to do the work on ourselves because, as I've said in one of my recent social media posts, we're human as well. We have challenges as well. And therefore, we need to also use some of those skills to work through our own challenges. And sometimes we have blind spots. So we need coaching too. So I think that's a good time to bring Marina in. And I'm going to let Marina introduce herself because she has chosen to niche, so to speak. And it would be good if you could tell everyone what you do and a bit more about yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Jackie. So I am a mindset coach with a focus on confidence. And I chose confidence because it was something that just kept coming up in my clients, and it's the thing that I felt most joy from working with. And I suppose it's also the thing that I have made the biggest progress in myself. So I can really work with people and come to working on confidence from very real-time, relatable, relevant life experience and content and learning. So that's me. In terms of how I work with individuals, I work with groups. I've got a group confidence program coming up, which is very exciting. And I also do a few human design readings and tarot readings, and that's sort of on the side of my coaching. In terms of where you can find me, my website is www.talkwithmarina.com, and my Instagram handle is at talkwithmarina. Same with my TikTok. So I have been brave enough to go on TikTok, but I haven't posted in a long time. So I go to my Instagram. That's what I'd say. But yeah, Jackie, thank you so much for having me on this today. And I'm so excited to chat to you about confidence.
Good, good, good. And I do apologise. I don't know if you can hear, but there's a cat in the background who keeps choosing to try and interrupt when I'm doing stuff. So you might hear some whining in the background. But anyway, so I've got 5 questions that I wanted to ask you. However, I think I may ask a question and then it develops into perhaps a wider or deeper conversation. So let's see how we go. But from your perspective, what is confidence?
What is confidence? It's something that is so widely misunderstood, and that's why I feel a lot of people lack it. But we'll come on to the lack in a moment. What is confidence? If you look into the etymology of the word confidence, it comes from the Latin words with trust, confidare. And so really it's about trusting yourself. And when you look into trust, you don't always need to understand something to trust it. You know, when we're younger, we trust our parents, we trust our teachers, our friends. And so it's about having this sense of trust within yourself. And I've expanded that. I go into more detail in my course about, okay, confidence is about self-trust. What is connected to that? Self-awareness, self-love, having this self-respect for yourself and building upon that. It's also about a mindset thing. I think so many people see confidence as black and white. You either have it or you don't. You're born with it or you're not. It's a full spectrum. It's a full rainbow. You know, you can lack confidence in one area, being super confident in another. So it's about understanding, actually bringing it back to ourselves. Confidence in who you are, knowing who you are, trusting who you are. And, you know, we don't need to have 100% confidence, but trusting that however something plays out, we know how we can react. We remember that we have control at the end of the day to react in the way we choose to.
That's brilliant. Because when I asked that question, I thought this is a really basic question because everyone knows what confidence is. But that shows that it's so much more than just how you appear, because we just look at that person looks confident, that and therefore is confident because their voice wasn't quaking or whatever it was. But yeah, I do like the faith in self, trust in self, and all of that. What about the almost like, and it's not that you have it or you don't, but if you don't feel you have it, what about faking it till you make it and all of that kind of stuff?
I think first and foremost, it's important for people to understand that confidence is a learned skill. You know, it's not something you wake up with or you don't. It is something that we build, that we develop, that you have to practice. You know, you can't go to the gym, do 100 press-ups and expect to be sort of stacked for the rest of your life. It takes consistent developing and learning. And as soon as you sort of build your confidence around what used to be your comfort zone, you'll see, oh my gosh, there's so much more that I could build my confidence in. So there is empowering thought and belief in understanding that it is a learned skill and it's something that we can all build and all work on. In terms of faking it till you make it, I am so for that, because when you step into a feeling of like, okay, what does confidence feel like? Even if you don't feel it right in that moment, just imagining what does confidence feel like? You're helping your body come into a deeper understanding of what sort of confidence means to you. And when you feel it, you're able to act on it more. So definitely fake to make it, go for it. And I think that is also part of where the mindset work comes in as well. You know, how a feeling, letting yourself lean into a feeling without experiencing it, creating it for yourself rather than relying on an outside situation to create it for you.
Okay. So I think you touched on this actually. I was going to ask, what was the reason you chose to focus on confidence? And I think you touched on this, but do you want to say anything more on that?
Yeah, I'd love to. I I've chosen to focus on coaching because it was an aspect or a factor that I noticed the majority of the clients I worked with through my coaching and mentoring, it was something that was a block for them.
Yeah.
And so I felt really drawn to it. And there were lots of other things that came up a lot, but this confidence work is something I felt really drawn to. And I think also it is because, or I know it's because of my own personal experience with confidence. When I was a young child, I had bags of confidence. I would be the one climbing to the top of the tree, speaking out loud in class, wanting to be the big part in plays, walking up to people I didn't know, having conversations. And sadly, but I can also see how this is a blessing now, my confidence started to diminish from the age of about 11, and through experiences with, I don't know, children my age, teachers, other things that I failed in, my confidence just kept taking bigger and bigger knocks. And during my teenage years, I used to lack confidence so much. I was so shy. If I even thought about speaking out in class, I'd feel sort of a lump in my throat. Walking up to a group of people, I'd feel so anxious. I wouldn't sort of put myself forward for things because I lost sort of confidence in being capable of it. There was so much. When I was turned 18, I took jobs that, I wasn't valued in because I didn't see my confidence and my ability to do better. And it really affected my life for really quite a while, until my early 20s. And that's when I suddenly got fed up. I was like, this confidence thing is taking over my life. It is affecting every single moment of every single day, and it's exhausting, and I don't want to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. So that's when I started doing the self-work, leaning into confidence, understanding what it is. So I've come from that sort of low self-esteem, self-confidence, to coming to a place where I actually feel so proud of what I've created for myself. And through that process, I've gone through the pitfalls, I've gone through these fake confidence hacks and things like that, and I've worked out what actually works for me, works for the people around me. And Jackie, let me tell you, I mean, I can't be prouder of what I've achieved today. And also I have a sort of sense of this deep gratefulness and compassion and fondness of my younger self, who, yes, there were those experiences, but of my younger self, who allowed myself to retreat back into my comfort zone, to let go of this confidence that I once have, in order to learn how to build it up. And these are tools that, I know now that I can share, and actually it's not just benefiting me, it's benefiting the people I'm working with, and the people who work with them, and the people in their circles.
Yeah.
And so it's this beautiful thing of leaning into teaching what you have learnt yourself. And that is why I feel quite so strongly about it.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. Can you tell?
Yeah, I can tell. And it's lovely that there's so much passion about it as well. And I think it's important, because I do feel it's something that impacts all of us. We're all, even if we look at someone at work and think that, oh my God, look, they're so confident, they're so this, they're so that. Actually, we've got no idea what they're feeling on the inside, because there's been times where people have said, you come across so confident. And I've been thinking I was actually quaking in my boots, and sort of I had that, my throat's going to close, I'm not going to be able to speak. I've had all of that, but actually it doesn't show on the outside. So we've got no idea sort of how many people are walking around not feeling confident. Why do you think that it's potentially such a big issue?
I think it's a big issue because we misunderstand what confidence is. We've got very black and white thinking about it. You either have confidence or you don't, right? And as you said, we also don't talk about it. So we don't know that our boss feels nervous public speaking, or our friend is anxious about this social event, or our parent is worried about something. We don't have this dialogue around confidence and the lack of, and actually acknowledging ourselves for being brave, for building that confidence. I also believe we lack it from, if we think back to sort of back in the day, thousands of years ago, you know, the way to stay safe was to stay in the known, what we know, our comfort zone. Don't explore that cave because you have no idea if there's a bear in it. Don't eat that berry because you don't know if it could kill you. Don't do this. And so we have those feelings still today, you know. Don't go and public speak because what if you'll be heckled? Don't go into that group of people because what if someone's dangerous? And logically we know, oh, like, I'm not going to die. I'm going to be absolutely fine. But this sort of primal thing in our body, you know, you can call it the ego or whatever, is holding us back, being like, no, but what if you die? And because of this, it feels safer, and I'm using sort of quotation marks, you know, it's safer to stay in our comfort zone, to stay in what we know. And actually, without going on too much of a tangent, I would like to say that I actually call, in my teaching, I called the comfort zone the known zone, because it's what we know. And actually, so often what is in our comfort zone is not comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. So what that brought up for me is this whole thing about us being hardwired to find safety. So it's all about that kind of survival mode, and a term I've come to know as ego protector. So the ego protector is always trying to keep us safe, because to that ego, everything that feels a bit unsafe is that big that it could cause death, even if it's just stress from an email from your manager that you're a little bit worried about. To the ego, that survival mode, it's the same across everything. And so therefore it kind of tries to keep you small. You know, almost being heckled by someone or not liked by someone is tantamount to death in some ways. So I find it's quite hard to move through that, because it's that feeling of not being safe, because it's so strong that, you know, this could happen, this could go wrong. It's not even necessarily sometimes conscious thoughts. It's the strength of the feeling that's coming up of not being safe that makes you kind of want to shrink. So yeah, like, you might be teaching this on your course, I don't know, but is there a snippet that you've got around how we sort of push through that? Because that feeling of not being safe, that fear kind of gets in the way of us being able to almost quieten the ego and move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's very hard to say that anyone will ever get rid of their limiting beliefs, the fears, this sort of fear of stepping out of your comfort zone. The thing I talk about, and the trick, is to feel more comfortable with discomfort. And there are several ways to do this. So firstly, feel more comfortable with discomfort, and question your limiting beliefs. You know, far too often do we have these beliefs about ourselves and the world, and we just see them as facts. I'm not good at maths. I can't possibly public speak. That person has their shit together and I don't. Why do we let these beliefs feel like facts in our head? So let's go into more detail with the comfort zone, with the feeling discomfort. When you next take a step outside of your comfort zone for something social, for your work, whatever, for your health, whatever it might be, acknowledge that you're taking that step. You know, acknowledge yourself for doing something for you that feels uncomfortable. Hold your own hand through that process and tell yourself, I'm safe, I'm going to be okay. You know, it's not about pushing ourselves and berating ourselves for making things hard. Allow yourself, imagine that you are a child on its first day of school. You wouldn't chuck it in the classroom and say, you'll be fine. I'll hold your hand through the process, one step at a time. Well done for walking into that classroom. I'm acknowledging you for taking that step outside of your comfort zone. Have compassion for yourself. And then slowly, the more you do this, you will relate discomfort and stepping out of your comfort zone with self-compassion, with acknowledging yourself, with celebrating those scary steps, however big or small. So that's a comfort zone part. In terms of the limiting beliefs, question your limiting beliefs. Don't just let them slide by. Say, no, I'm noticing this. I'm curious. What's the basis of this limiting belief? Where has this come from? And if you can't quite make a way out of sort of cancelling that limiting belief, then ask yourself, challenge yourself to think up what would be a more inspiring belief to have instead. What would be something more empowering? So if you have, I don't know, if your boss puts a meeting in your diary and the thing that comes to your mind, oh my gosh, I'm going to be fired, I'm going to be reprimanded, or this, that. What if I'm getting a pay rise? What if I'm being given this new promotion? What if I'm getting, this new opportunity? Cancel out those negative, limiting beliefs with things that are actually more exciting. Because always automatically we go to the negative, we go to the limiting. But be curious about those and give yourself an opportunity, give yourself a balanced playing field. What if it was brilliant? What if I do this speaking event and it goes so well? What if people approach me and are like, that changed my life? What if people really value it?
And as you were talking, what came to me there was, if you can't go as far as changing it into positive, then at least, I was going to use a double negative then, question the negative and maybe try to neutralize it. Yeah. So when you go to, it must be something awful, I'm probably going to be told off, or something. It could be, I actually don't know that. I don't know. I've got no idea what this is about. So therefore, let's not make any assumptions about what this meeting or whatever with my boss might be about. It could be that it's something not very good. It could be something that's brilliant. But if I go into it with this feeling of dread and it turns out to be something brilliant, what a waste of energy. So perhaps let's just neutralize and just say, I'm open to whatever it's going to be about, and I'll be able to deal with it. So there's that. And there's also, we were on a retreat together this past weekend, and I also think there's something in those thoughts are more powerful when they're just running around in your head. But when you actually voice them or write them down, or they come out of your head, you actually see them differently. You actually hear them differently when you hear yourself saying it. So sometimes it can be, I don't know, quite a silly sort of confidence thing, but it's really important to you while it's going around in your head. But when you actually speak it, it then sounds like, that's a little bit silly, really, isn't it, for me to feel that way? Actually, that's not a problem at all. That's not a problem at all. It's just I made it bigger than it actually is in my head. Yeah, those are the thoughts that were coming to me as you were talking then. Really interesting. So was there anything else you wanted to say on that?
Yeah, just to echo what you're saying, these thoughts, these fears, they're all tactics of our mind, of our ego, to keep us safe. And I want to reference who is the author of this book I'm listening to at the moment, and the title is Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Oh yes.
Who is that? Do you know?
Susan Jeffers?
Yes, Susan Jeffers. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Our biggest fear, or something, what she says is the thing that's connected to our fears is this fear that we won't be able to handle it. Just feel the fear and do it anyway. Yes, there are lots of steps but beyond that, and if we're going to get into that, we need a whole nother session.
Yeah.
Just trusting yourself, coming back to this confidence, this self-trust. You don't need to know exactly how it's going to be planned out. You don't need to know, even in this situation, I could have written a whole script of what I wanted to share with you today. But actually, that might have made me feel even more nervous, knowing exactly what I'd planned. I wouldn't have known, if we had more questions, different things. Just feel the fear and do it anyway. I was slightly nervous coming on before that, but the difference is I'm acknowledging that and I'm not letting it own me, because I'm also excited, right?
Yeah. Let me just have a look at the rest of my questions. Yeah, I did, and I don't know whether we've actually in our conversation covered this, but you might want to say something a little bit more about it. And it was the connection, if any, between confidence and things like courage, fear and anxiety. And I think we have touched on it from that survival mode mechanism. And also the ego protector sort of mechanism. And I think one of the things I would want to point out to everybody who's watching is the ego protector doesn't mean to be as sneaky as it is, but it's very sneaky, and it can be quite annoying, the things it puts in your head or the things it stops you from doing. But I think there's also having compassion for that ego protector as well, because it's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to do the best it can, the way it knows how, even if it's not really the best way for us, or doesn't serve us. Some of it actually comes from things that worked in the past. They just don't work anymore because they've just become ingrained habits. So I think we've touched on it, but I don't know whether you had anything more to say on link between confidence, anxiety, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So you mentioned the word courage to begin with. And I'd say courage has a very similar energy of being bold and trusting and putting yourself out there without expecting or needing a certain result. You're having the courage to step forward into something, step out of your comfort zone. And so taking courageous steps is an amazing tool to support you in building your comfort zone. And I think one of the biggest things that holds us back from taking courageous steps is worrying that that step or the outcome of that step is either going to be a success or a failure. And we see, if we think, and our mind goes to the negative, so we're like, oh, if it's a failure, maybe it's just safer I don't do anything. Maybe it's just safer I stay in this cozy little comfort zone. But actually, when you change your mindset, and this is where mindset and perspective comes in, when you change your mindset around failure, being like, you either stay the same or evolve. And failure is part of evolving. When you take a step forward and fail, you can tweak. That's not the step forward. You can go in another direction. Failure is the same as success and taking you closer to the life, the career, the relationship, the friendships you want to create in your life. So I'd say, connecting that courage with failure and changing our mindset around that is very important. In terms of the connection with confidence and anxiety, I would say that I'm not an expert on anxiety, and I don't have extreme anxiety myself, and I very much see it as a spectrum, such as confidence. But I think that there are some levels of anxiety which are a tactic of our ego to keep us safe, to keep us secure. And actually, confidence, anxiety, courage, these things aren't mutually exclusive. You don't have to not have confidence, not have anxiety in order to be confident. I have anxiety, so I can't do that. No, you can. It's similar as Susan Jeffers says, feel the fear, do it anyway. Feel that anxiety, acknowledge that anxiety, and choose to take that courageous step for yourself anyway. That's where the power is. And I really appreciate what you were describing about this ego protector, that the goal isn't to cancel the ego. The goal isn't to destroy this ego, because it's there to protect us. It has good intentions, and it has saved us in the past. So what I'd say with that ego is the example, the exercise I mentioned earlier about you having compassion with yourself, imagining that you're on a child on its first day of school. Use that with the ego. Imagine your ego is the child, and it's the step you're taking is it going on its first day of school. Hold your ego's hand, reassure yourself, I'm going to be okay. I can always take a step back. I can always pause. I can always review. I can tweak. I can do this for 5 minutes. Set those supportive boundaries for that ego, for that child, for yourself, to support you in being courageous. It's not all or nothing. It's not black and white. It's your way. It's the way that feels good for you.
Yeah. And in that, what came up for me was small steps. So courage doesn't necessarily mean I go all the way over there, like right out of my comfort zone and just upend everything, because I've got to feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
It's more, okay, it might be, I do want to get right over there, but right now, what I'm going to do is this small step in that direction. And then, oh, okay, that feels okay. And then I'll take another small step in that direction. And what kind of tends to happen is sometimes you will take a step, you're expecting some, I don't know, a particular outcome, but something so different and so much better than you could have expected actually opens up for you just from that small step that you took. So I think one of the things I just wanted to inject is, don't underestimate the power of small steps. And again, the ego protector, very sneaky also, in terms of if you go out and you do something really big and it goes wrong, you will get the internal, see, this is what I meant, you're not supposed to do those kind of things, just stay in this small bubble. And it's how you talk to the protector, even if something hasn't quite gone according to plan. It doesn't mean you don't have another go, or you don't try a different route, or you don't do something, you don't take a smaller step. But just be aware that of the sneakiness of the ego protector, because it is likely to come in and say, see, I told you, you shouldn't have done that. So just be aware of that, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And something we actually discussed is taking the seriousness out of it. See it more likely. See, a limiting belief comes in. Oh, I see you. That's a sneaky one. You're not going to get past me. Check in with it. Be playful. Remind your ego. Hang on, slow down. We've got this. We can do this. I'll hold your hand. Bring the humor into it. Bring the lightness into it. It doesn't have to be this scary life or death thing. Relate confidence, relate this sort of self-work with having fun. It doesn't have to be all serious.
And that brings me back actually to something that's quite big with me, which is presence and awareness, because we run around all day with so many different thoughts coming in, rushing around doing different things. And I do feel sometimes some of the intuitive messages, mostly the things that are pushing us in the right direction, are very, very subtle sort of feelings and thoughts that can be quite easily dismissed in the busyness of the day or the loudness of the ego talking. But when you're more present and aware, you can sort of decipher a little bit more what's coming from where. And I think you're more able to tune into the limiting belief and question it. Whereas if you're not present and you're not in a state of awareness, which happens to all of us multiple times throughout the day, that limiting belief can can take over because you haven't had the time or the presence to actually keep it in check. Is my thinking on that, or a thought that came to me anyway.
Absolutely.
So lovely conversation. I am conscious of time. One of the things I did want to ask you about was I think you've got a course coming up on confidence.
Yes, thank you for
what are the details?
Oh, I'm so excited about this. So this is my confidence kit group coaching course. I've run it already, and so I'm running it again starting in January, starting on the 9th of January. And it's a 5-week course on those steps, inviting in your most confident self. And it's for people of many levels, people who feel like, I've got zero confidence, I want to start, I've got some sort of confidence, I want to build it, to I just want to learn more and more. The thing that I ask is people want to change, that people want to grow and expand and build confidence. It's really exciting. So it's going to be 5 modules, 4 live calls. And the way I teach and do these courses is such a big aspect of it is about actually understanding. So first and foremost, understand what actually is confidence. Why do we lack confidence? You know, going into this ego protector, understanding what a comfort zone is, what limiting beliefs are, the mindset, how our brain works. And with that understanding, you then have the tools to build from there. So it's really exciting. It'll be a small group of people. It's a safe space in order to practice being confident within this small group. In terms of how to find out about it, there's a link in my bio. So head over to my Instagram, which is @talkwithmarina, click onto the bio and find confidence kit there, and there's more details. There's also a little sneaky early bird discount going on at the moment, which you can get some money off. And actually, I am running a free group workshop on the 12th of December, which is a little taster of what to expect within the Confidence Kit group course. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. You can find more info on my Instagram, and that's the basis of it. Thank you for asking, Jackie.
Okay, so when does the early bird discount end?
Oh, I believe it ends on the 23rd of December, but if it doesn't, I'll extend it until the 23rd of December.
Okay, no, sounds good. So free taster session on the 12th. Is the course all online?
It is all online. So the modules are pre-recorded and it's on a platform called MemberVault. So you have all the details in the same place. And then we've got 4 live calls, which are on Zoom, and they are planned and they're in the diary already. And they will be recorded as well, so that you can find everything within your MemberVault platform.
Okay. And I'm aware that some of us that we've done together some other programs where they've had like maybe a WhatsApp group attached to it, or is there anything like that?
Yeah, so we've got a Telegram group, and Telegram is similar to WhatsApp, as in it's a messaging service, but I like to use Telegram because it keeps it separate from the sort of noise that is WhatsApp. And we sort of are basically each other's cheerleaders for the duration of the course. And it's a place where you can practice acknowledging yourself for the courageous steps, for building your confidence, for acknowledging, you know, what are the things that have been difficult, and practice sharing with people that, you know, you don't know that well, on building your confidence. And it's a really empowering place, and we're all there to back each other. And yeah, it's a great energy.
Okay, sounds good. And you said to go to Instagram, but presumably all the deets are on your website as well?
Everything's on my website. But the best place to go is Instagram, because there's a link that takes you directly to MemberVault, where you can book, and more details as well.
Brilliant. That sounds like a really, really good course, and I think something much needed for all of us, really. So I can see why you've focused there. So before we finish, anything else that you just wanted to wrap up with, or?
I'd say that if there's one thing that you take away from today, two things. Can I say two things?
Yeah.
Two things to take away from today is to firstly explore what confidence means to you. And secondly, be curious. Be curious about the thoughts you're feeling, those sort of steps you want to take, and just be curious and notice. Because once you start discovering, you know, what are those limiting beliefs, you start to notice them, and already you're halfway there to being more confident.
Yeah, and that's where the presence and awareness comes in. Lovely. So what I'm hoping to do is also sort of under this video, when I share it, I'll put all the different handles, websites, everything, so that people also know where to find you on Instagram, and all of that. So and to find the course and everything easily. So thank you so much for what I feel was a very important conversation and a very enjoyable conversation. So I'm going to stop the recording now, but please stay on the line so we can say our goodbyes.
Thank you, Jackie.
Okie doke. Thank you, Marina.